In the heart of Southeast Asia lies Indonesia, the world's fourth most populous nation. A land of staggering beauty, rich cultures, and a turbulent political history. At its center today stands one man, Prabowo Subianto, soldier, businessman, politician, and now, president. Born in Jakarta in 1951, Prabowo grew up in a family of power and privilege. His father, Sumitro Jojohadikusumo, was a prominent economist. But young Prabowo chose a different path. He joined the military academy and soon found his place in Kopassus, Indonesia's elite special forces. Prabowo's rise was rapid. He commanded special forces units in some of the nation's most dangerous operations. By the late 1990s, he held one of the most powerful positions in the Indonesian army, commander of Kostrad, the Strategic Reserve Command. But the year 1998 would change everything. As President Suharto's regime collapsed under mass protests, allegations of human rights abuses began to swirl. Prabowo was accused of ordering the abduction of pro-democracy activists. Dozens disappeared. Some never returned. Under pressure, Prabowo was dismissed from the military. He would spend years in the shadows, his name associated with controversy, his future uncertain. But Prabowo did not disappear. He reinvented himself as a businessman. Through the Nusantara Group, he built a vast portfolio in energy, palm oil, and natural resources. Wealth gave him power, and with power came ambition. In 2008, Prabowo founded the Gerindra Party. His eyes were fixed on the presidency. He ran in 2009, in 2014, and again in 2019, each time falling short. But in politics, defeat is never final. Instead of retreating, he accepted a position in the cabinet of his former rival, President Joko Widodo, as Minister of Defense. From there, he carefully rebuilt his public image. Once seen as a strong man with a shadowy past, he now appeared softer, even playful, dancing at rallies and sharing videos with his cat. Then, in 2024, the moment arrived. Running alongside Gibran Rakabuming Raka, the son of Jokowi, Prabowo won the presidency with nearly 60% of the vote. At age 73, he was sworn in as Indonesia's 8th president. For many Indonesians, it was the triumph of persistence. For others, a haunting reminder of his past. Could a man once accused of human rights abuses now be trusted with the future of a democracy? In the first year of his presidency, Indonesia has already been rocked by unrest. Protests over economic inequality and lavish spending by politicians have turned violent. Critics accuse Prabowo of militarizing civilian life, expanding the army's role into food security, agriculture, and beyond. In late August 2025, sweeping protests erupted across Indonesia, some of the most widespread and violent in decades. What began as student-led demonstrations around Jakarta soon spread to at least 32 out of 38 provinces, igniting a nationwide movement. The immediate trigger? Outrage over the revelation that 580 members of parliament were receiving a housing allowance of 50 million rupiah, about $3,000 per month. nearly 10 times the minimum wage in Jakarta. In a nation grappling with rising food costs, underemployment, and stagnating middle-class income, the allowance became a symbol of political detachment and entrenched inequality. The demonstrations gained massive traction, particularly after a motorcycle taxi driver, Afan Kurniawan, was tragically killed by a police-armored vehicle during a protest. Videos of the incident circulated widely, fueling public outrage and deepening distrust toward security forces. In Jakarta, riot police deployed tear gas and water cannons as protesters hurled rocks and fireworks while trying to approach parliament. Government and police buildings were torched or vandalized in major cities, including Makassar, Yogyakarta, and Solo, with fires and riots leaving several buildings destroyed. At least 6 to 8 people were killed, hundreds injured, and more than 1,200 protesters detained. President Prabowo Subianto faced a balancing act, offering partial relief while marshalling a forceful response. He announced the revocation of MPs' housing allowances and a moratorium on overseas travel for lawmakers. At a press conference, he warned against violent behavior, declaring that the state would intervene against looters and rioters, casting some actions as bordering on treason and terrorism. Ongoing investigations and support were offered for the family of the deceased driver, though many viewed them as too little, too late. As protests rage and promises are tested, one question remains. Will Prabowo's presidency secure Indonesia's future or repeat its troubled history?